we're completely honest with ourselves, when people think about SEO consultants, this is usually what springs to mind first.
I'm having spam, baby, spam.
And even Google now thinks we're a bunch of spammers after they brought the spam hammer down on their indexing API. Hello everyone, welcome to the Canonical Chronicle, the meme-infused SEO news that stops your rankings from tanking. In this week's episode we will discuss new spam warnings from Google, the Wayback Machine in the SERPs, Chrome removing FID, and new structured data for videos. As always, we provided a deck to present to your team that's available at typeamedia.net. But without further ado, let's get into it. As an SEO, do you ever feel overworked and underappreciated?
I don't like my job, and I don't think I'm gonna go anymore.
Well, guess what? So does the Google Indexing API. And apparently all you naughty SEO people, to use a technical Scottish term, have been ripping the arse out of the API. So much so that Google's been like,
too much. You said too much, my friend.
In particular, Google said they're going to crack down on people using multiple accounts in order to index the same URLs. They're going to be looking at quotas that people are using, and they're also going to be making sure that if you are using the indexing API, it's only for job listings or live videos. So if you need to actually get something indexed, there's 3 things that you'd usually do in order to get a page in the index. First things first, you want to make sure that in your robots.txt file you have linked to your XML sitemap. Second, you want to actually take that XML sitemap and then submit that to Google Search Console. And then if you get any new URLs, you want to make sure that you're internally linking to them and sharing them on social. That helps them get indexed a little bit faster. What you should definitely not do is download all your backlinks from Majestic or Ahrefs, turn the backlinks into an XML sitemap, create a burner Search Console account, then submit that XML sitemap of your backlinks to Search Console. Do not do that. That is bad. Do you ever see people post on social media after they've had a glow up and you're left there thinking, God, if that's the after, what was the before?
Finally, I'm a beautiful butterfly.
Well, now you can actually see what a web page used to look like right inside of search. That's because Google have introduced Wayback Machine links inside of each result. That's right, you can literally see web page ghosts.
Hi, I'm Casper.
Google said, we know that many people, including those in the research community, value being able to see previous versions of web pages when available. That's why we've added links to the Internet Archive's Wayback Machine to our About This Page feature. Damn, and there was me thinking that that website I put up in 2010 was lost forever. Turns out that it's actually embarrassingly in the archive. If you'd like to access these links from Wayback Machine, literally just go to the result, click About This Page, and you'll see all the Wayback links there. Have you ever tried to use a VPN to get a dodgy video stream to work in another country?
Venga conmigo, señorita. Le enseñaré las maravillas de la galaxia y juntos, con nuestro amor, venceremos al mal.
Yeah, me neither. If you're a webmaster with lots of videos on your site, there's now a way to actually block your videos from going to certain countries. The schema property is called ineligible region, and it's essentially something that's nested inside of the video object schema. You put it on there as normal with JSON-LD or microdata. Make sure to use the correct ISO code for the particular country you're targeting, and it should not show up in that particular region. Remember, before you implement anything like this, make sure to take a benchmark report of the rankings in the country you're removing it from, and then once you've done it, take the rankings again to make sure the behavior is how you expect it to be. I don't know about you, but when I'm running Core Web Vital audits, I like to channel the energy of the most important technical SEO in the world, Mr. FID sent. That's because FID, or first input delay, is being replaced by INP, which is interaction to next paint. Interaction to next paint, you say? Chrome is out there like,
Jack, I want you to draw me like one of your French girls.
The reason why FID has been removed is because Chrome actually looked at the user data and they saw that 90% of all the interactions on the page happen after the first interaction. So measuring FID, it's not very holistic. So INP gives like a full view of how the page is performing over time. Now, Core Web Vitals is a little nerdy and quite technical, so we've done a full write-up on the Type A Media website, and also I've linked down below to the actual Google developer document that should give you a bit more of an idea on how to optimize for INP. Trusting Google with your privacy is the same as trusting this guy with your new diet plan.
It's a baby!
However, to be fair to the search giant, they are taking steps in the right direction with something new for Google Ads called confidential matching. I don't know about you, but confidential matching kind of sounds like a app for blind dates.
Oh my God.
Confidential matching now allows advertisers to upload their first-party customer data, but in a much more private and secure way. The way Google have made this more private and secure is by doing three main things. Firstly, they've got something called a trusted execution environment, which is essentially just a container that all the data sits in that only the advertiser can see and Google cannot see. They also have attestation, which is just a fancy way of saying a test you can run to make sure the data is being processed in the correct way. And lastly, and most surprisingly, they've actually put all the code onto GitHub open source, so you can check the code and see what it's actually doing to prove for yourself that it is indeed private. It's definitely a step in the right direction, but let's just take a minute. Let's not conflate privacy with security. At the end of the day, you're using customer data in order to target them with ads. That's the definition of not private. But at least it's now containerized and encrypted, which is the definition of secure. So if we just want to put our tinfoil hats on for just a second and work out what this will actually mean for Google long term, I think it's actually just going to make them even more powerful. Here's why, because what they're essentially doing by giving this containerized environment is they're saying, privacy, you deal with that. We're outsourcing privacy problems to you, the advertiser. That's now your problem. What they're also doing, because they've got a full monopoly on all of the ads, and they're the only person with this technology, the more the EU and all these places clamp down with regulation, that's actually now a good thing. And let me explain why. If you're now totally compliant and all these regulations aren't hurting you, they're hurting your competitor. And if you're a small ad player, you don't have that technology that Google does. So the more regulation that happens, the more Google's competition is crushed and unable to compete, and the more the monopoly stays where it is. That's everything for this week's Canonical Chronicle. Please go to typeamedia.net in order to download the free deck that comes along with this week's news. And until next time, we'll see you later.